Sure. Well, I'm the advocate, the public advocate for my company, and have done this for the company I'm currently working for, but 25 years as an advocate. And what that really means is it's my job to present the organization that I work for to public officials, position us as a knowledge partner so that when an issue comes up, a bill is introduced, and they want to ask a question of somebody who's in that space, they reach out to us. Sure, so I work for Cisco Corporation, which is the Cisco food service delivery business, and we're in 43 states selling food and non-food products to restaurants, hotels, University of Florida, lots of vendors throughout the US, and our job is to deliver those products every day to the company so they then can serve their customers. I mean, if you think about our business, many aspects of it are regulated by local governments, state governments, and the federal government. So everything from the trucks that we drive every day to the employees that we have, to the buildings that we operate. And so the business touches government very frequently, and it's my job to make the connections so that, again, when either we have a concern or a need that needs to be addressed, we have folks we can go and talk to because they know enough about our business. And then similarly, if an issue comes up like tax reform or transportation or trucking legislation, they in turn can reach out to us, ask us our opinion on it, and try to get us involved in the process. So it's a little bit about just being there for them as well as us representing the interests of the company proactively. So when I was here at the University of Florida, I majored in political science and government. Well, it was a great setup for me because it gave me two things. One, it allowed me to learn about process and about issues and how to think about them analytically, how to think about them strategically, how to communicate them effectively, which is a big part of what I do. And then being at Florida, both in the College of Liberal Arts and Science and more generally, it just gave me exposure to so many opportunities to kind of give it a try run. So I was involved in student government and involved in a lot of campus organizations, and just the sheer breadth of opportunity here was phenomenal. Well, so I was involved in the board of college councils. I was involved in the interfraternity council as well, my own fraternity at the time that I was here. Helped on campaigns with folks running for student senate, student government. I was sort of the guy behind the people who were running for office. I was never one right out front. That wasn't where I felt that my expertise was, but very involved in all of those organizations. Yeah, well, it's funny you ask that because I don't think any little kid thinks they want to be a lobbyist when they grow up. Actually, when I was young, I wanted to be an architect, and then I realized that required math, and I don't do math, at least not very well. So when I came here, I've always sort of had a love of politics and government. It's just been an interest of mine since I was a little kid. And I figured, well, I mean, that's part of school. I also loved history, and so I was interested in taking classes in history. And like many college kids, I came sort of with an intent to try a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and see what fit me like a glove. It just turned out to be political science. Well, I have to say, in my business, the things that we really rely upon is the ability to communicate effectively and to carry messages forward in a compelling way. So a liberal arts degree for me really gave me the tools to do that very effectively. I learned how to write effectively. I learned how to communicate orally. I learned how to engage with other people and to have a breadth of knowledge. So I mean, I took classes, everything from Russian history to US American history to government classes, and then really when you get into the political science, diving deeper into comparative politics, and it just gave me such a breadth of experience. I feel like I can almost carry on a conversation with anyone on any one topic. And then, the flip side of that is what we talked about in terms of giving me the tools to do my job really well, and that's being an effective communicator. Yeah, I got a master's in public administration from George Washington University. Well, I mean, the degree from UF really teed me up perfectly for it. I think it's the combination of the degree and the experience, right? So I clearly had been given the academic basis to be able to go on and get a master's at GW. So that was solid. But also, I mean, I'll never forget when I met with my advisor for the very first time at George Washington. She said, look, Chip, you've got a great degree from a great university, but we're also really interested because you were involved in so many campus organizations and in leadership positions in them. That's the kind of well-rounded student we want here for our program. Yes, the current position, and this is a relatively new position at Cisco. It's just a couple of years since we've started a government relations program, so we're building out the capacity now. But certainly here and then in my previous jobs have been in hiring and getting interns in and kind of showing folks what the whole world of government relations looks like. Yeah, so for the folks who come into government relations that I've hired, it's really a mix. One is liberal arts degrees, political science majors. I've hired history majors, English majors, some communications folks, because they develop the tools of communication and effective communication. They can write well, and taking a complex issue and kind of whittling it down to message points, pros and cons, and doing it in a way that you can communicate that to a member of Congress or a state elected official is a real art. So liberal arts and science is a great foundation for that, so I tend to look for that. But then certainly there are other expertise that can work there as well. Pre-law, law students, other folks who've had public administration degrees like myself. Yeah, so I would say there's a balance here. One is make sure that you are academically strong, and particularly for my field, to be a strong writer and a strong communicator. So look for opportunities to do that in every medium, both in writing, in oral presentations, and work on honing those skills. And probably hand in hand with that goes getting involved outside of just an academic pursuit. Find organizations you're interested in, get involved in those organizations, because really what I do, it is about issues, but it's also about relationships. And developing relationships, learning the skills to develop relationships, being able to engage one-on-one in groups with folks is important to becoming a compelling advocate. Well, I feel really fortunate because I love what I do, and the really neat thing about it is there's not any one day that's exactly the same as the day before. So when you're dealing with public officials, and half of the equation I deal with is completely unknown to me when I walk in the room, right? I'll come in with a position or a request to sponsor a piece of legislation. I'll have researched where that member of Congress may be, but I don't know exactly what they're going to say or how they're going to say it. And so I call it finding the way to yes. How do we find the way to yes on a given issue really makes this interesting. And the other thing is, at a company like Cisco or other places I've worked, it's not any one issue, the same issue every day. So it may be transportation one day, it could be labor issues another day, it could be taxes, could be trade, import issues. So it's really fascinating and a lot of fun. Sure, yeah, there are definitely times where we may not see eye to eye on an issue, or you're dealing with a very emotional issue. And so there are a couple of ways to do it. One, I always tell folks who work for me, this is not personal, this is work. So it's important to distinguish between what my personal passions may be and what I do as an advocate for the company. It's kind of like the coyote and the roadrunner. After they battle at it all day, you can still go out and get together after work is done. It's something similar to that. So it's not personal. It is work. That's part of it. The other is to recognize that the person you're dealing with is just as passionate about their viewpoints, and the important thing is to listen and see if you can figure out, is there any opportunity to work together? Is there any chance for collaboration? That's a big part of what I do, is look for the cues that they're giving me. Are there signals? Are there opportunities? So a lot of it's about listening. Well, I would say, the University of Florida has been a tremendous launching pad for me. I don't know that folks really realize how extensive Gator Nation is. And in my line of work, it really helps because it allows me to reach out to folks that I may not have known, but just because they were a fellow Gator, the door gets opened and I'm able to have a conversation. So not only enjoy it while you're here, but look for those opportunities to connect with Gators once you leave Florida.